Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Valas here at the weigh-in as we are just one day out from Lawrence Okolie and Michał Cieslak. You like that pronunciation? I learned that yesterday from Peter.
Over with the Polish fans. So, you know, I saw you cheering at one stage. You getting involved? Was that the hooligan?
Right, let's not. Lawrence is my pal, so we're not going to go there. But I'll tell you what, he could be getting booed to the ring tomorrow night because they are a moody bunch, aren't they?
It's a massive turnout today from Polish fans. And Poland's got a rich history of boxing. Cieslak is probably the top Polish fighter right now in the sport. They're dying out for another champion, and you know they feel he can do the business. So it's going to be a good crowd there tomorrow at the O2. There's going to be a lot of Polish support. It's going to be a brilliant atmosphere, and it's a great fight. I've said it all along. This is a really, really good heavyweight fight, cruiserweight fight. Two elite guys, and I think it's going to be a tough fight for Lawrence Okolie. I expect him to win in a great fight.
How much do you think that actually pays effect to what goes on in the ring? Because obviously it is all about what goes on in the ring, but no matter how loud fans are, like...
I mean, look, we're here on a Saturday in Canary Wharf. We had a massive turnout for the weigh-in, and half of the people here were Polish to support Cieslak. So when he comes in, you saw him standing there, beating his chest to the fans. Like, it raises them. And for Lawrence, I think Lawrence probably walked upstairs going, okay, wow. And I knew it's very hard to determine when you sell tickets how many away fans are coming or Polish fans that live in London. But the answer is a lot. And you'll hear it tomorrow, and it'll be a really good atmosphere. I love it. There's nothing like an away. It's a bit like what we got coming up, Michael Conlan against Lee Wood. I know they're coming from Belfast, but the atmosphere is going to be unbelievable. We'll have like 9,000 sellout in there, probably 4,000 Irish. It's going to be brilliant, and you'll see a smaller version of that tomorrow.
See, we know sort of the personality of Lawrence. We know he's a focused, driven fighter, but there is no danger that he's overlooking Cieslak as well, because obviously all the talk is about unification. So,
you know what? That's why people keep saying to me, like the Polish fans and the media, how comes you chose Cieslak? You know, you're looking for unifications. The answer is because I want to see Lawrence Okolie in a real fight, a proper fight. And he hasn't really, outside of Glowacki, he hasn't fought anyone even of this kind of caliber before. So, but Lawrence, he's so brutally deadly with both hands, you know, particularly the right hand. And Cieslak starts really fast. You know, he likes to move around, likes to be active, he likes to throw the right hand to the body and lean in sometimes. And this is he can punch as well, Cieslak, you know. And the thing I love about elite cruiserweights is it's such a great weight class because they can punch and they're fast, you know. And you're going to see, like I said, I don't want to keep going, an elite cruiserweight matchup tomorrow. Two top 5 cruiserweights in the world, and a really tough fight for Lawrence Okolie. And I hope if he comes through, which I believe he will, he gets the credit he deserves.
Just sort of past this for Lawrence Okolie, even when we was at the press conference yesterday, Shane McGuigan said two-weight champion. Tune this, isn't it?
Yeah, tune. And be loved. Bit of Bob Marley. Yeah, sorry.
Hoping this don't get copyright now.
Yeah, I mean, with the WBO, of course, you do have the ability, especially once you move to Super Championship status, to move up and be the mandatory at heavyweight. So that's really the long-term plan with Lawrence Okolie, is obviously win tomorrow night, go on this summer and unify, and then move up to the heavyweight division, hopefully in the mandatory position. He has all the attributes to be a great heavyweight, right? He has great size, even though he's coming up from cruiser. He has tremendous power. He has great athleticism. You are facing a different kind of animal up at heavyweight, but I think he's going to fill out up there. He's going to not have to restrict himself in camp as well. But when you've got those kind of plans, these are the moments that matter most. These are the moments that actually you can slip up more than ever because, I'm thinking about Bradis, I'm thinking about being a mandatory for the heavyweight. All of a sudden, you've got this hungry, Polish fighter in Cieslak. The only thing he's thinking about is becoming world champion on Sunday. So you've got to get it right, and all the things that are ahead of you mean nothing if you don't focus on what's in front of you now, and that's Sunday.
I was going to say, because obviously you're very open with us and the media about what your future plans are for fighters, but just hearing Shane McGuigan, his trainer, talk about being a two-weight world champion when you've got someone sitting next to you like that, I think a few of us were just like, right now, really talking about heavyweight as a trainer? I don't know.
No, I think that's how much they believe in him. And to be honest with you, like I've never looked at when we found the opponent for this fight. Basically, it went like this. I looked at the rankings and went, who's the best fighter in the world who's not a champion? Probably Michał Cieslak, right? Let's get him. I phoned up Shane McGuigan and we said, it's Cieslak. They went, cool. Like that's so the belief from Shane McGuigan, and Shane's not, Shane talks a good game as well about his fighters, but he also knows exactly where they're at. he has no fear to put Lawrence in with anyone at cruiserweight, and he knows, he's seen it in the gym, he's seen the sparring, he knows he can handle himself at heavyweight as well. So, and that's where the most of the gold is, isn't it? So they're looking at it and saying, well, of course we want to go to heavyweight. That's where the huge money fights are. But first, I want him to go and really create a legacy for himself at cruiserweight.
And obviously, rest of the card, Wade in as well. Galal fight. I know he's quite a reserved character, but he looks so in the zone. And
this is a really, really good card. And there's a couple of fights on the card that you might look at on paper. Fowler against Macic is a good example, right? Macic super tough. He's going to have the Polish support as well. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Fowler coming up after the defeat. It's not an easy fight for Anthony Fowler. Galal Yafai is in a really tough fight. Like, he will have too much skill for Bautista. But what happens if the fight goes 7, 8, 9 rounds? And I love it. I mean, imagine if Galal Yafai was just fighting in a 6-rounder against someone that we plucked out from BoxRec, who had absolutely no chance in the fight. He's fighting a 10-round championship fight against a really tough Mexican on his professional debut. Support this young man, give him credit. And like I said, Anthony Fowler in a really good fight. Jordan Gill against Gurfey, great fight. Gurfey's really big and strong at featherweight. European champion, must win for Jordan Gill. Campbell Hatton's got a really tough fight. Steps up massively from his last opponent to fight Joe Ducker, another Brit who's coming down from Loughborough. You've got Bracamonte, who's about 290 pounds, had a war with Dave Allen's going to fight Dempsey McKean. That'll be a lot of fun. The pro debut of Chev Clark as well, another Olympian. You've got John Hedges on the card as well. And you've got Fabio Wardley coming back from injury against the Mountain as well. So, I think that it's a really, really good card. Topped by, like I said, just a brilliant, brilliant World Championship fight.
Yeah, look forward to Sunday night. I know, obviously, we put the interview public that you done with Coogan, and obviously you said you were fucking buzzing. Just kind of from the public reaction, and now it's public knowledge as well. I know you've been talking about the Bivol fight a little bit, so people kind of knew it was coming, but just the fact it's fully confirmed and public knowledge, and the reaction you've seen as well, just again.
Massive fight. I mean, look, we know Canelo's obviously pound for pound number one. He's the biggest star in the sport right now. So obviously for us to be involved is, we'll come on to that. But in terms of the fight itself, really well received. Like, it's a brilliant fight. Dimitri Bivol is an undefeated light heavyweight world champion. He's already beaten Joe Smith, the other champion. He's been looking for an opportunity like this for a long time. It's just a great style matchup. Cinco de Mayo will announce the venue and everything at the press conference on Wednesday in San Diego. But you just see, you see the size of Canelo Alvarez when you announce a fight, and you see the interaction across, the news outlets, his social, just all digital media. And this guy is a superstar. And I'll be honest with you, I've worked my absolute bollocks off over the last 4 weeks to make this fight. And there were times when I thought it was done. There were times when I thought it might not be done. But for me as a promoter, it doesn't really get any bigger than representing the biggest star of the sport, the pound for pound number one. And I've kind of learned a little bit over the years, just to sort of, I know I love to talk and I do interviews with you guys, just rein it in a little bit. Because sometimes you can say something that'll upset someone or get yourself in trouble or whatever. But I try to be as open as possible. But this time around, I've had to really bite my tongue because I needed and wanted this deal so badly. So I just worked away quietly, just beavered away, just grafted away. And when we got it signed, which was actually only yesterday when I did the interview with Coogan, it was a massive relief because it's, like last time, and brilliant for us to bring Canelo back to Matchroom. But obviously last time he just had one fight with the PBC to pick up the Undisputed Championship. They didn't really want us involved, and it was a bit of a kick in the nuts, really. Not Canelo, by the way, but PBC and Showtime. And it also means a lot that Canelo Alvarez wants to work with us. He believes we're the best promotional company in the world, and we're going to bring you two initially, but obviously you've seen the reports last night. It is true that the third fight is being planned now for December anyway. But bring you, the pound for pound king in just epic events this year, in great fights as well. And that's the thing with Canelo Alvarez. It's not like we're looking at him going, okay, look, how do I milk a payday? He's going to fight Dimitri Bivol and Gennady Golovkin. That's his next two fights. And probably after that, he'll fight Makabu, or he'll fight Ryder, or he'll be in another big fight somewhere around the world. So, incredible. And we can't wait to get started. Fly to San Diego, obviously, early this week. We've got Chocolatito against Julio Cesar Martinez and the Canelo presser on Wednesday.
See you in San Diego. In terms of, I want to know what sort of intricacies that Canelo liked about the deal other than the money? Because I know people say money, fights, and they are the two, I suppose, biggest assets of the deal for Canelo, the financials and the fights and the rewards. But what sort of intricacies of working with Matchroom are there that Canelo kind of likes about this?
I don't know. I mean, look, first and foremost, he's a fighter. He's a businessman. He's not just going to do a deal because he likes me. You know, I think on an even playing field, he'll always choose me and Matchroom to work with. You know, he's seen the way that we take care of fighters, the honesty that we have, the way that we pay fighters, the way that our production works, the ring walks, you know, the way the media's handled. We're the best in the business. But at the same time, if a better deal presents itself, like Caleb Plant last time around, that was the perfect fight for him to take. He's going to take that. So this was a mixture, I guess, of great money, but two fights that he really wanted to challenge himself in great fights against champions, and also the fact that he wanted to work with Matchroom again, and that feels amazing. When you look at him again, like look at his run of fights, and take out Avni Yildirim because that was a mandatory that he had to fight. He's gone Daniel Jacobs, world middleweight champion. He's gone Sergey Kovalev, world light heavyweight champion. He's gone Callum Smith, Ring Magazine champion, WBA number one champion, super middleweight. He's gone Billy Joe Saunders, WBO world champion. He's gone Caleb Plant, IBF world champion. He's now going Dmitry Bivol, WBA light heavyweight world champion. Then he's going Gennady Golovkin, IBF world middleweight champion. Like, this guy is fighting champion after champion after champion. He's unbelievable. And he deserves so much credit because he doesn't have to. He could make this, he could make so much money just fighting anybody he wants. But he wants to test himself against great fighters and against great champions. And that's why this guy is a legend of the sport. You know, a generational great. And I'm his promoter. I want to touch.
You've had it right off. Just in terms of the third fight, obviously two to deal with, but we would love to see Canelo in London. We've been through this, obviously, John Ryder with that win over Danny Jacobs possibly, but then undisputed light heavyweight as well. So is it going to likely be one of them too?
I think that, you know, December, we're already talking to Eddie Reynoso, getting that fight planned in. There's Makabu at cruiserweight, which is an option. There is John Ryder, who will probably be mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. Sal really wants to fight in London. You know, that's a fight there. The Makabu fight could be in Mexico. There's Joe Smith. There's Berterbiev. I think, you know, I love the plan or the option to be undisputed at 175 as well. The trilogy with Gennady Golovkin is the biggest fight in boxing. It's just that the opportunities are endless. And when you've got a guy that will fight anyone, it's brilliant, because it's not like, Eddie, what about Better? Like, they love the Beterbiev fight. That's a brutal fight, and one day that fight will get made. But they're excited about that fight. So it's just, you know, it was a big day for us yesterday, and we can't wait to get started.
Obviously, pay-per-view in America, the Canelo fights, and of course your best friend Stephen Espinoza gave you some backlash over that. $60 is the price as well for the May fight against Bivol. Just kind of your take on how that's been received, and obviously when there were things you had said in the past about there won't be a pay-per-view platform.
Yeah, if you look at Stephen Espinoza's tweets last night, they cut out things that I said, right? So if you go to that thread and you look at the responses, they play the actual video. So I say, pay-per-view is dead. And they cut that. And then if you actually play the video, I say, pay-per-view is dead at that price point. That's what I said. It was $99.99. But the world changes, the market changes. Yes, is DAZN's strategy now different to what it was 4 years ago? Yeah, of course. Virtually every business's strategy has changed. And the fact remained is that every now and again, for certain huge global stars, they will have to have the pay-per-view functionality for these kind of fights and these kind of fighters. And the truth is that when you've got Fox or Showtime doing Canelo Alvarez at $80, $90, how do you compete without replicating that model? And that's really what it comes down to. Stephen Espinoza is the saltiest man I've ever met in my life. Like, this is a guy who, in America, for the Caleb Plant fight, I walked up and I said, hello, Stephen, and went to shake his hand. And he looked down his nose at me and wouldn't shake my hand and walked off. So that was the moment when I really thought to myself, make sure Canelo's next fight's with us. So yesterday was another big day for me with our little American friend. But, you know, of course, you can pull up things that were said 4 years ago and things change. But the fact remains, and we say it in the UK as well, obviously this fight not pay-per-view in the UK, it's free, available to DAZN subscribers as part of their monthly package. But if AJ fights Usyk on DAZN, it will be pay-per-view.
I was going to say, does that show what sort of fight it has to be in the UK? If Canelo's not pay-per-view, does it show what size of fight it has to be?
It has to be. It's not your standard pay-per-view night. You know, it has to be a big fight, or it has to be Anthony Joshua. All right? So, of course, you asked me the same questions. When we bid for Tyson Fury against Dillian Whyte, would that have been DAZN pay-per-view? Of course. Anthony Joshua against Usyk. Are DAZN interested in that fight for DAZN pay-per-view? Yes. You know, so Canelo against Bivol and Canelo against Triple G, pay-per-view fights in America.
How do you expect DAZN pay-per-view to do in the States?
Really good, because what you have to understand is they have such a huge subscriber base in America. They have a captive audience of American boxing fans already. Plus the database of people who have been on the platform, have experienced DAZN, plus the ability to cross-sell that pay-per-view with other platforms, DirecTV and many other outlets as well, and platforms. So I think it's going to do tremendously well. But, you know, it comes down to everybody else bids for Canelo Alvarez with that particular model. And, you know, this is the model that will enable us to work with Canelo Alvarez.
How bothered is Canelo about that sort of model? Because we were talking about him being such a great champion. Is he bothered about the things in the background at all?
No, he's always, you know, his last fight was on pay-per-view. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not his business or his interest, but ultimately the deal is his deal to fight. He's boxed on pay-per-view for most of his career and spent, also multi-fights on DAZN as part of subscription as well. So, but we live in a stage now. His stock just continues to rise. You know, he's just become undisputed champion on Showtime pay-per-view. His stock just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the price, yesterday's price, is not today's price when you talk about Canelo Alvarez. And you have to adapt and you have to win those fighters to your promotional company, your platform. And we have won the battle to promote Canelo Alvarez.
All right, Eddie, thank you very much for giving me some of your time, and I look forward to tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Don't miss it. Sunday night, O2 live on DAZN. Big card.